You're listening to the Multiverse Fancast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
My name is Oliver Queen.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
My name is Kara Zor-El. I'm from Krypton.
Everyone, this is my cousin. I guess you already know. Okay, I think I have this. Oliver.
Green Arrow.
Dig.
Spartan.
Thea.
Speedy.
Okay. And Sarah.
White Canary.
Jax. And Professor Stein.
Firestorm.
Ray.
Palmer. The Atom.
And Nick.
Oh, Heatwave.
Always a pleasure to see you, Lucy.
Hello? I believe we've met. Lucifer, Morningstar. Consider us even, John Constantine.
Constantine.
Is it? I don't care.
Be ready. All right, then. On with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fancast. If you're listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us at themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find links to all of our content, including articles, reviews, YouTube, Twitter, and pictures of our questionably lovely faces. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul, and with me is Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic, sire. How are you?
Did you just call me sire?
Yes, I did.
What was my safe word again? And also with us...
Farfanugan?
I can't say that because the last time didn't go so well. Also with us is unofficial, official third podcast host, Rob. Rob, how are you tonight?
I'm excited to be working with three gentlemen who have faces made
And
for
a baby?
radio.
Made for
Three
radio.
gentlemen and a baby?
And a ghost in the background. And joining us, mostly because he didn't want to go home after his episode, we have from Cinematic Adventures, Sean. Sean, how are you today?
Who am I? Why am I here?
Can you please let the chains off?
Turn your hearing aid on.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, yeah. But
I am good, though. How are you?
Oh, my God, I totally asked you how you were. Yes,
You did.
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
At least someone pays attention.
Who
Who are you?
Is this
I don't
Cinematic
know.
Adventures or multi? Okay, whatever.
We're talking about movies, so I feel like it's the same thing.
We are talking about movies. So
We are?
we're actually talking about two movies tonight. We are going to be talking finally for the first time ever because we took. For those of you guys who don't know the history of the Multiverse Fancast, we went from being very, very proactive on recording and releasing. I think at one point we were releasing 3 episodes a week
About, yeah.
with no editing because we didn't know how to do it.
Because we were cool.
We don't need editing.
Where we're going, we don't need editing. But and then we took quite a hiatus, and we made a few attempts to come back, and now we're finally back in the groove, and we're doing much more consistently than we
back
were.
in the New York.
By the way, fun fact, big kind of announcement. How many downloads are we at right now, Ronnie?
We are currently at 2,250 total downloads for us.
And that is awesome. We wanted to thank you guys. Our
Yes.
goal is 2,500, I think, in the next month or so.
Yes.
I think that's a relatively obtainable goal. So the best way for you guys to help us with that goal is not only just downloading, but also subscribing, leaving reviews, stars on Apple Podcasts. Apparently they do star ratings.
Yeah.
So anything you guys can do, sharing with your friends, or just letting people know that this is what we do if they want to spend an hour or an hour and a half or 4 hours on Justice League with us. But today we're actually going to be tackling... This was actually, I think Sean, who suggested this to me, that it's kind of the opposite of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That would be,
sir. Ronnie. So
for once.
For once.
I did a good idea.
You did a very good idea.
Idea.
You did
Idea.
a good thing.
That's what we
Golfers
say
clap.
in
Golfers clap.
Swedish. But for those guys who
No,
don't know,
that's
actually,
IKEA.
Ronnie does the entire website on his own, pretty much. So if you guys go to themisfitfaction.com, you'll see a ton of stuff. And Ronnie kind of pretty much put it all together, and we just kind of provide him the content, including reviews on the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, which we're going to be doing next week as a full episode. So we're going to actually have to all watch the episode before we record.
Which actually, I was thinking it's a good thing that we're doing this week because this is a nice lead up to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier because we get to look at Bucky and Sam's relationship in Infinity War and Endgame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about Ghostbusters.
Who are you going to call?
Bucky and Sam.
I thought we were doing the Back to the Future retrospect.
No. It's not Bucky
that was
and
on
Sam.
Okay with that?
Sam and Dean.
Sam and Dean. Oh, okay. I got my names mixed up. We could actually probably just jump into a Supernatural episode right now.
Yeah, right.
Probably do an okay job. Sean, you're doing okay.
I'm on season 14.
We're
almost
almost done
there.
with season 11. Or season 10, excuse me. But we are talking Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Now, if you guys have ever listened to us in the past, which most of you probably have at this point, typically we either do a roundtable discussion about a movie, like we did for Justice League, or we'll do a breakdown. I think for the sake of
humanity,
and for 5 hours of movie, we are definitely not going to be doing a full rundown of both movies. So we're actually going to be tackling just more topic-based and story points in the movies and kind of where the MCU is at the end of it. So before we even get started, we'll do some initial thoughts. First on Infinity War and then on Endgame. We'll go around the table, just a general broad idea of where you stand on Infinity War and Endgame. We'll do Infinity War, go around, and then we'll go around again for Endgame. So that way you guys have time to put your thoughts together. So I'll start just because they were not prepared and I did not tell them that we were going to be doing this, and that's how we roll here at the Multiverse.
Ready for anything.
I'm ready.
The readiness is all.
I'm ready.
Even though you laughed so hard you had to excuse yourself before we started recording. But
Sorry, that was my fault.
So I'm going to start with Infinity War. I find Infinity War to be the more entertaining movie. I can put on Infinity War and be constantly entertained throughout.
Are you not entertained?
If Infinity War is in, I am very entertained. It is, I would say it's in my top, not my top 3, but definitely I would say my top 5 Marvel movies. It's one of the movies where it was not afraid to end on a dark, sour note.
Empire Strikes Back of the MCU.
I can stand behind that. I also enjoyed seeing some new character interactions, seeing Doctor Strange and Iron Man interact for the first time, seeing Spider-Man interact with Doctor Strange's Cloak of Flight was fun, but the Guardians and Thor, and then we get the ending scenes where we get more characters that are playing with each other for the first time. I remember one of the first trailers was on Titan, Doctor Strange throwing the discs, the magic disc, and Peter Quill jumping on them like that.
Yeah.
That's like. What?
Yeah, it's cool to see. It's neat to see all these well-established movies sort of come together and play with one another, even though some of them are varied tones too.
Are they? Are they different tones? Are they?
We're gonna go toe to toe, aren't we?
No, I will say the really for me, like as much as I like to kind of rag on the Marvel movies a little bit, I do thoroughly enjoy them. And anybody who's listened knows that I'm just a big comic book fan, and I enjoy different. The biggest tone shift happens when the Guardians show up. Like immediately, the movie almost feels like it completely changes because like it's the big title card, space, because why it's Guardians and they're playing Rubber Band Man and they're all just jamming, and I'm like, they caught the aesthetic. Guardians has a different aesthetic than a lot of the other movies,
and that's James Gunn probably.
That's completely James Gunn. And that's why I'm really excited for Suicide Squad to see what he does with it. But Guardians is really the only Marvel movie. Well, it's one of the Marvel movies that always sticks out in a different tone.
Yeah,
like I hate to say it, but like Doctor Strange is Magic Iron Man.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I totally agree with you that for some of the movies they get specialized directors that really do something unique and special with it. Like say Thor Ragnarok when they got Taika Waititi, to do it, and he brings his own flavor to it. So like Ragnarok is very much a stylistic difference than everything else. Same with Guardians. Whereas, Doctor Strange.
Even like Ant-Man, as much as I love Ant-Man was tiny Iron Man.
It was. Yeah. And I think, I got to say, I think that's one of the few times Marvel dropped the ball is in not hiring Edgar Wright for that. They really should have kept him on. That's
a whole other discussion. When Ant-Man Quantumania comes out, we'll definitely be talking the series as a whole because Marvel trilogies, Marvel's inner series in their big series, they're always hit or miss. Like Captain America series, really good. The Thor series was okay, then not so good, and then epic.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man it's right in the middle of the road, unfortunately. But so those are my initial thoughts. Passing the podium over to Ronnie. Ronnie, initial thoughts, Infinity War. Yes.
Infinity War was by far a greater movie than Endgame was. But Endgame to me is more memorable than Infinity War. Because I think you had more of the stories, and I like seeing the conflict. And even though we had 3/2.5 teams, because towards the end, obviously you got the Earth and the space team kind of meet up or whatever, but the way they were able to tell all the different stories for all the different teams worked very well. And obviously the interaction between Thor and the Guardians is by far one of the greatest team ups ever.
As Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. Him and Peter Quill going back and forth throughout the entire movie is just, it brings some levity and some joy and some comedy to the movie.
There's a lot of fat shaming in these movies.
Yes.
There's that's one thing that they kind of dropped the ball on.
Yeah.
But Rob has a thought.
Well, my thought is that I think what's great about it is that when Thor gets his powers, his quote unquote powers back at the end of Endgame, I know he doesn't really, but he becomes sort of like this warrior Thor again, that he keeps the weight on.
See,
I
it
like that because I thought it was an embracing, like that he doesn't, because if they were fat shaming, I think then they would have been like he went back to thin Thor.
So let me backtrack then on that.
Okay.
The fat shaming happens with the jokes that are put in between, like War Machine, Don Cheadle's character, who is an Air Force veteran. He should be the last person to be like, to look at Thor, and when Thor's like, do you know what's coursing through my veins? And he's like, Cheese Whiz. Like, he should be the first person to be like, because he did it for Tony Stark. He knew Tony Stark was not right. Also, I'm talking more when they first meet Thor, and they're like, cool, you're one sandwich away from being fat.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get a Bowflex. I'm going to commit. So some of those jokes for me, just having my own issues that I deal with, they didn't resonate well.
Okay.
And they still like.
I like the dude character though.
The Lebowski Thor.
The Lebowski Thor.
Again, it's still for me like it was played for laughs, but at the same time they did treat it with some serious moments and some serious thoughts. Like when Tony Stark finally says, "You're in no condition." It wasn't talking about his physicality; it was where he was emotionally. Like that worked for me. But then there were a lot of times like when he's leaving and his mom's like, "Eat a salad."
Yeah.
Like you had such a powerful emotional moment. Did we? Unfortunately, Marvel likes to undercut with their jokes. Their quips are always like they have to throw it in, even make fun of it. Tony Stark says to Ultron, "He beat me by 1 second." Like sometimes I feel like the humor does cross too much, but that's all I'll say about the fat the fat jokes. A lot of fat jokes. But any other thoughts, Ron?
No, I'm keeping it short and sweet.
Like you. You're very tall.
I'm not that
You're very tall. You're
short.
very tall. You're very tall. I knew as soon as I said it. I knew. But Rob, Infinity War.
I had the pleasure this week when they told me that we were going to be doing Infinity War Endgame. I'm like, I have to rewatch these because it had been a while. It actually, the last time I saw Infinity War was just before Endgame came out, and I had the pleasure of watching both movies back to back, which I hadn't done before, and so I kind of saw it as a like almost 6-hour epic film. Which was fascinating to compare it, and I won't say anything negative. Fascinating comparing it to watching the Snyder Cut in its entirety. And it was neat to sort of draw the comparisons. Infinity War. One of the things about Infinity War that I noticed when I was watching it is I really felt like I was seeing comic book storytelling with all of these interconnected characters, with all of these crisscrossing plots, with seeing different team ups and stuff like that. Like it really feels like you're leafing through a comic book, and it has just this. It's so tightly told too, and it's. Like it just, there's no gaps, there's no downtime, there's no like, oh, I want to fast forward through this part so I can get to that part. Like every single second is so well put together, and I love that they spend a good like half hour dedicated to smelting, which is something you don't see in a lot of movies nowadays. So
They did it in Justice League when they were locking up the boxes, and you hated it.
They weren't smelting.
The Amazons were. They smelted theirs. But anyway,
that was
smelting.
They should have maybe more smelting would have made it a better movie.
But we will discuss I think because Rob brings up a good point, and it's something that I want to bring up when we talk about Endgame. But Sean, Infinity War is a movie.
It is.
I wasn't sure.
He's new to the show.
I have not seen Infinity War in a while. I'll be honest. I kind of was like, oh, you're talking about Avengers? Oh, I'll join. Not realizing
you guys have chips.
Not realizing I haven't seen Infinity War in a while, but looking back on it, I walked into that movie knowing that obviously it was a two-parter. We knew Endgame was coming out not too long after, but And then the Russo brothers really took that movie and just connected every single character, I thought, very well. I mean, they turned out to be just the shining light in Marvel's directorial. Jon Favreau started it, but the Russo brothers, they finished it. And they just hit it out of the ballpark. And overall, as Rob said, as all of you said, I thought it was like a comic book coming to life. You know, Guardians and Thor, Iron Man and Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. You're seeing Spider-Man, with the group for the first time. You saw him a little bit in Civil War, but this was the first time, you see him with Iron Man. It was just, I thought overall it was very, very good.
All right, so that's our thoughts on Infinity War. Ronnie, you are co-host, co-founder. I'm going to pass an idea to you, and you let me know. Do you want to do Endgame?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
Not yet. Do you want to do Endgame thoughts now or talk Infinity War, then do Endgame thoughts?
We going to dangle that carrot. And
I don't know what that means. Please put your pants back on.
And not do Endgame.
Okay,
right
so
now.
we'll
dangling the carrot. You
so-
gotta
Cold
listen to us to find out.
You wanted fun, Ronnie.
So if you want more, you're going to have to keep listening.
Oh, God.
That was also a perfect time to stop the video. So, yeah. We'll do just kind of a roundtable discussion on Infinity War. Just maybe a memorable scene. Each of us just talk about a memorable scene or a memorable concept, something that really kind of sticks out. Like, when you think Infinity War, what do you think and why do you think it, right? Because obviously we can't do an entire movie breakdown. We'll be here forever.
No, I know.
Even though, as Rob said, it's very tightly put together. It moves very quick. And I think that's going to be one of my downfalls with Endgame, because I find that Endgame sometimes dragged. And that's just my honest opinion. All right. So here's how we'll start. We are going to start with a concept, a scene, a character, something that really sticks out in this movie that you really enjoy. And we're going to bounce off each other and probably interrupt each other and talk over each other. And I'm going to have to do some editing on the sound. Yeah,
we would never.
Stop it. I'm freaking out. So,
man.
When you guys think this movie, what comes to your mind? I know for me personally, it's the ending battle on Titan. As much as I'm like a huge Captain America fan, he is a character that's kind of sidelined in this movie.
Very much so.
Because the movie's not about Captain America.
Yeah.
This movie is a direct result of the Avengers breaking up in Civil War.
Yeah, Endgame is Cap's film. This one is Tony's film.
Yes, very much so. And I loved having Tony basically taking what resources he had and going after Thanos. I will mention a gripe. Here is my gripe, and
so maybe this should be our structure: one memorable moment, one gripe.
Oh, that's
All
totally
right,
fair.
go ahead.
So my memorable moment is obviously the fight on Titan. Especially when Thanos throws the moon. Like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like, that was just like comic book iconic.
That is great.
And like seeing like Doctor Strange use the mirror dimension and kind of seeing the real Sorcerer Supreme going toe to toe with Thanos, because we all kind of gauge how powerful our characters are by how well they fought Thanos. And Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and Captain Marvel were really the ones that gave him the biggest run for his money, I think, even though Thor did technically kill him. But and Iron Man puts up a great fight, like they all do. And Spider-Man catches him with I love the magic, more magic, magic with a kick. So here is my gripe, and anybody feel free to like argue me on
You're
this
wrong.
point.
I'm ready.
Okay. So
You're wrong.
So Doctor Strange tells Tony that he needs to turn the ship around so they can get back to Earth. Okay? So he specifically says, "Can you turn this thing around and get us back to Earth?" Why couldn't he just open up a portal?
When is this?
On the ship, on the donut ship, when they're flying right after they save Doctor Strange.
I always forget Doctor Strange is with them.
Yes.
All right,
they're there to save him.
Yeah.
So he asks, "Can you turn this thing around and get us home?"
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't he just teleport back with the portals?
Because that's like this Superman clutch.
But then they use it for their big moment in Endgame.
When they all come in.
They're even able to coordinate it with Sam.
Yeah.
Like, I hear Sam talking to Doctor Strange, who's never met before. It's very important. that this portal opens on his left. This is a gripe, though. This is a legitimate gripe.
So you're saying that the wonkiness of the portals or the convenient wonkiness of the portals.
They go with the rule of cool in Endgame.
Yeah.
They definitely go, and the rule of cool always supersedes. But that is one thing when I talk about this movie, I even thought to myself, I was like, can he just teleport them back?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can he just open a portal? A simple line like, you can't open up a portal while we're moving at 10 times the speed of light. Like something physicsy would have, but I don't know why it just always stuck out with me. It's like one of those little things that like I get annoyed with.
Yeah.
I also don't like the hate that Peter Quill gets from this movie.
Well, it's his fault that
But see, the thing about that is, and this goes back to my John Walker argument from Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, without spoiling anything, and I'm not up to date on the current episode.
He needs to be.
I know. John Walker does make a decision after his partner gets hurt and/or killed. I don't know.
Killed.
Yeah. Peter Quill has already been established as a hothead. When the second his dad or Ego was like, "Yeah, I killed your mom," he's like, he snaps out of it. He just starts blasting him away. That is it was completely within his character to lose it when he found out that the last person that he loved besides his friends was gone. So that always annoys me that that Peter Quill gets a lot of hate for such a human reaction.
Yeah.
Because I'm only half human, so that 100% of me, that 50% of me is 100% of you. I love that one too. Ronnie, memorable and gripe.
Memorable moment would have to be with Thor. His
Very specific. Okay.
His entrance into Wakanda, super memorable. That's something that I can just watch. Like,
you guys are so screwed now.
Yeah, right.
That is so terrifying, though. The CGI of Bruce Banner's head. Like sometimes, like, oh god.
Yeah. That scene, that moment, is better than any circle shot we've ever had. Not the best moment we've had in the MCU. There's two in Endgame that are better.
There's two.
There's two in Endgame that are better.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But that to me is one of the most memorable moments. The one thing I didn't like was how easily the Hulkbuster armor was like defeated, like torn to shreds. Like you would think like that thing would be able to hold up. Like look at Iron Man's suit and the fact that thing can hold up so well, but the Hulkbuster suit was like ripped apart
Counterpoint.
like, super quick.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
In Infinity War, it was broken up very quickly. He just kept replacing it with new parts. So I get what you're saying, and also it's Bruce Banner using it.
Yeah.
But I can understand that, like, and he even says it like this suit already kicked the crap out of the Hulk.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh no, help.
I just would have loved to seen it more. That's all. And it's not like a major gripe with the movie because again, this movie to me is in the top 3 MCU movies.
Wow.
Yes.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very nice. Rob?
I'm actually going to start with my gripe because it's going to build off of your favorite moment.
Okay.
My gripe is that when Thor returns, that they don't play Led Zeppelin. I hate that they go to the Avengers music. I would have loved to have. I think it's Immigrant Song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kicks in. I would have loved. And there's actually people, if you go onto YouTube, that have pasted in Immigrant Song into it, and it works so much better than the Avengers music.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because like we were talking about them taking the aesthetics, especially from Guardians and stuff. Thor really kind of gets the short ends.
Agreed.
With this,
it
feels like
feels
like Ragnarok was filmed after this.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Because like the eye first they give him a brain. Oh, here's your new eye. Oh, you need a new weapon. No, we learned you don't need that. Like the power was in you all along, Charlie Brown. Like, so I feel like for Thor, this movie was a bit of a step back.
Yeah.
Especially with the
I do
aesthetic.
agree with you. Actually, that is one of the gripes I've always had with it too. Is that in Ragnarok, they are told, oh, it's always in you. You're the god of thunder. and you don't need a hammer. And then he's like, I need a hammer. I need an axe. And I was always like, that's all right. I'll go with it. Like, there's no moments in this that I was like, oh no, that doesn't work for me at all. Like the whole movie works for me just on so many levels.
Yeah.
So that's I think my only gripe. I will say that rewatching it now, the gripes I originally had when I first watched it have since dissipated. Because there were some gripes I had about CGI stuff that bothered me, and it doesn't bother me that much anymore. Expectations I had that don't bother me anymore because now I know what to expect. So I'm sorry. I'll say I'm sorry first before I say this. Having spent weeks watching all the DC movies again was tough. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still, better time spent than most doing a lot of other things. But sitting and rewatching these two, I was smiling for the entire time I was watching these two. It was just such a joy to sit through them.
Well, also, I think the biggest reason for that, for me anyway, because I will agree with you. Like, watching Infinity War and Endgame, I'm always a little bit more smiley.
Yeah.
They have the bigger comic book iconic moments, and we'll talk about that especially for Endgame. But I think really these are payoff movies.
Yeah.
This was a big. I would be very curious to see, had the Snyderverse or the Justice League universe continued, would we have eventually gotten that Endgame and Infinity War series?
I know I gloss over that fact a lot, that the DC universe was still in its infancy when we got to Justice League. So, there should be more forgiveness than I give it. Because, Iron Man 2 was not very good at all.
Yeah.
And there, even the Thor Dark World was not very good.
Those were their exposition movies.
Yeah, they were still working on it all. But speaking of distinct images to a lot of distinct tones to movies, that's why I'm very excited for the Eternals. Chloe Zhao is a really cool filmmaker. I just saw her latest film, Nomadland, and it's so. I think this is going to be more different than anything we've seen before because she's very unique.
Well, it's one of the reasons New Gods got canceled.
Yeah, because of Eternals. Yeah. In terms of favorite, this is a hard one. I know I get chills every time Stormbreaker gets made because just seeing him lying on the ground and seeing the lightning starting to course through his fingers and his fingers start to wake up as Stormbreaker's coming together, and then Groot, I'm getting chills now, and then Groot comes in with to make the axe handles. Just such an incredible moment. For me, I love how Rocket came to the foreground in this film, in these two films, and just became such a formidable, such a caring character.
It was a nice progression of his story.
Yeah, he was a very three-dimensional character. It's one of the few times that we've so connected with a CGI character the way we did with Rocket, and he's got so many layers to him. I love everything with Rocket. So that might be probably my top thing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the scene with Stormbreaker because in the original trailer, there's a shot of Thor. He has nothing in his hand, but he puts his hand up in the air and lightning comes out. So originally, because Marvel's very famous for cutting their trailers and taking out the key points, characters, items of interest, whatever. So I guess originally he was supposed to get that axe, because you see it levitate, and then the scene cuts, but he was supposed to pick it up and have his triumphant pose, but they took it out and just stuck with the Asgard land.
I think they did something similar with Ragnarok, where they made in the trailers having him with both eyes.
Yep.
They did do things like that to psych us out. And then just the last thing I'll say is just this film made me really see just how cool Stephen Strange is. Like the Doctor Strange movie was good, but I was like, like you said, it was Iron Man, magical Iron Man.
Yeah.
After seeing this, I was like, wow, I want to be Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And it also it gave his character a little bit more distinction. He wasn't just magical Iron Man. Like the two of them butted heads, and they were very similar in demeanor, but they were also very different. So moving over to Sean, Cinematic Adventure Sean. Cinematic Adventures?
Cinematic Sean?
Sean?
Cinematic Sean.
Cinema Sean?
Am I?
Are you?
I don't know.
Where am I?
Shawnama?
Sean's been sleeping. What?
What's
Shawnama?
No, shawarma.
Shawarma? Shenanigans?
I don't know what it is, but I know I want to try it.
Yeah.
All right, so Sean, favorite or standout point from Infinity War and any gripe you might have.
Well, in listening to the three of you guys talk, I tried to, put all my thoughts together. In terms of memorable scenes, Ronnie mentioned obviously, Thor's return to Wakanda. That's a classic. The scene I like, the one I watch a lot, I'll YouTube it every now and then because I just thought it was a really cool, is Captain America's entrance at the beginning
in Scotland?
when he's rescuing Vision and Wanda, and it's fun watching
a lot
those
of good
two
that
together,
did.
pretty much. But I always like that scene. You don't know who it is, and then he catches the lance, and he just pops out of the shadows.
Yeah.
He's got the
I
beard
see you've
now.
copied my beard.
And that was good. The little go back between him and Thor that was good when they first see each other.
Well, because they thought Thor was dead. Like they legitimately thought
And Hulk had been missing for years.
Yeah. But Hulk lands and he's like, he killed Thor. Like that's what
That's
happened.
the thing. Yeah, he tells him, Thor's.
That's another scene. Watching the Hulk get his ass kicked.
Yeah, by Thanos. Yeah,
we never got that. And I'm going to talk about that for Endgame.
That's probably my gripe. Is and I know this is kind of hinting towards the next movie, but we never got that Hulk.
We never
Thanos.
We never get the Hulk. And I'm going to talk about that.
We never got the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I was always upset by that. I was like, he got basically knocked out of the Hulk's body in the beginning of Infinity War, gets sent back to Earth, and you never saw him again in the movie. And then in Endgame, which I was never a fan of, that they made him half Hulk, half Banner, and it just
Well, so let's quickly
Professor
discuss that because that's actually one of my biggest gripes for Endgame.
Professor Hulk.
Professor Hulk.
Well, can I talk about one more gripe for Infinity War?
Yeah, hit it.
He didn't go for the head.
Yeah, no, he didn't go for the head. But again,
all that for a joke. Thanks.
Yeah.
You wanted fun, Ronnie.
All that for a boner joke.
Yeah, right.
But you know what? In all honesty, though, that fit Thor's character. That was a little bit more of the old Thor peeking out a little bit, the warrior Thor, who's like, you killed half my people. You're gonna suffer for that before you die for it.
Also, that was also just such a letdown from the greatness of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
To just basically half those people just got killed.
Yeah.
I was just like,
oh, it's even worse. It's like half of half. Like they're down to like a quarter of their population.
That was another thing. Like you never saw what's her name in the beginning of Infinity War.
Valkyrie. You have to assume that they.
Well, you assume that I thought she died.
Yeah. And Korg, and all of them.
And all that, and then of course she's there in Endgame.
Yeah.
But that just, to me, I was in such a high from Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And then you cut to the beginning of Infinity War, and you're just like, okay,
A
all
new
that.
Asgard.
But they make up for it that, they have new Asgard now in Endgame, but it still was like such a gut punch. You were just like, oh. And then obviously Loki.
Yeah.
That was a bummer.
Both these movies start off on real gut punches.
I will say the beginning of Endgame.
It's
to me
hard.
Is the biggest gut punch.
You know what the best about that was?
Yeah.
So I think, were you with us when we saw the first showing,
of Endgame?
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if I wasn't.
I remember we were sitting in the theaters, and when that scene starts, everybody's like, "Oh no!"
Well,
you heard it.
Yeah, everybody was just like, "We know where this is going."
The second he turns around and she's dusted, you heard the entire theater go.
And it wasn't just it was his whole freaking family.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't even spare one of his kids.
Those odds weren't good. But going back to what you were saying about the Hulk, is my problem is they had a deleted scene where he makes peace with the Hulk and he does transform into him at the end of this movie.
At the end of Infinity War.
At the end of Infinity War, there's a scene that they filmed.
Because there's a scene in the trailer where they're like running towards the camera.
But that was a fake shot.
That was a fake shot.
Out, yeah. Just like
we were all waiting for that.
Just like the shot of Spider-Man and Iron Man for Homecoming.
Oh yeah.
But my thing about it is the Hulk. They made it seem like the Hulk was just scared, but like it was more he was tired of doing Banner's work and getting no thanks for it. No, like still being like treated like a disease. And then they exposition away, and in all honesty, he should have been the Gray Hulk from the comics. And I don't know, Rob, if you're familiar more with
a little bit, not much.
I think that would have been a much better distinction because he wasn't the Hulk, the character that we fell in love with in Ragnarok. The friends stay. That version of the Hulk that was so funny and was finally developing is basically
Hulk
killed.
Like fire.
Yeah. But he's gone. He's decimated.
Big monster.
That's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite memes. Big monster. It's the best.
Yeah.
But let's do Star City ratings on Infinity War. I will go first. I'm giving this movie a 4 out of 5. It is near perfection, and I think the only thing that suffers for it is knowing it was going to be a two-parter, and it was designed to be a two-parter, and that year in between was long.
It was.
Yeah.
Like, really long. But this movie is one of the best comic book movies of all time, and I'll defend that. But Ronnie,
4 or 5.
4.5.
4.5 for this movie.
You said it was top 3. What's your? I have to know now.
I gotta say it's probably Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier and Ragnarok, and this.
So, well,
I don't think he's a big Ragnarok fan.
See, I rate Ragnarok and Winter Soldier higher than this.
So-
Those are the movies I'll put on.
Yeah.
well, so this is the thing. As far as quality of a movie, Ragnarok, well, Winter Soldier, Ragnarok, this. But as far as like my taste and like what I would like watch, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, then this.
Okay.
But this is a better movie than Black Panther is, in my opinion. But I would watch Black Panther over this movie, though. But yeah, so I would give this a 4.5. I think seeing all the characters being able to gel and mesh together. You had memorable scenes, but not as many as you had in Endgame. But like you said, you knew this was a two-parter, and this was part 1. But I feel like part 1 is not supposed to be as good as part 2, but this was better than part 2.
I think this movie, like these two movies as a whole, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I gotta say, having watched both of them back to back this week,
They're one movie.
It's one
Yes.
whole movie that
one
was
whole
released over a year.
So, Rob, Star City rating. for
Easily
Infinity-
agreeing with Ronnie and 4.5 on this.
So
It's
near perfect.
near perfect. It got better. Like I have to say, time was kind to it, and it did get better. A couple of years now, after having first seen it. It was also neat, in the WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier world now, to see those characters and see some of the seeds that were planted in Infinity War and Endgame that were enjoying that water.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
It's actually water.
It actually is water too. I'm not
Liquid death, baby.
coming soon to a store near you.
Right?
No, I really felt that. It's interesting that you are saying that about Winter Soldier and Ragnarok, because those are, if I'm in the mood for epic storytelling and long form, payoffs, and I've got several hours to kill, then yes, absolutely this film. But if I don't have that long, I will easily watch like Black Panther or Ragnarok or Winter Soldier. Like those are the times where those are the YouTube clips I seek out are from those movies.
Yeah.
Whereas for these two, but 4.5 easily. It's just divine.
Because this movie, it's like, what would I change? What could make it better? And there's really not much.
Unfortunately,
but you can't. I feel like you can't give any movie, I don't care whatever genre, a 5 out of 5. There's no like absolute.
The Dark Knight.
Cinematic Adventures, I think, would disagree with you on.
No,
Dark Knight.
No, because there's always something you can change about a movie, so it can't be
Even the Mona
perfect.
Lisa could use another stroke or two. That doesn't mean it isn't less perfect.
Well, it could be a 4.9, 5, 4.99, 4.95, whatever. But there's no such thing as perfect.
Right now you're a 6.9, but anyway.
I'm a 69.
Yeah.
Back to the Future is still
Back to the
perfect.
Future is.
There's not a moment.
I would say,
wrong
but
in
see,
that movie.
for Back to the Future, I would call it a perfect trilogy, not perfect movies, perfect trilogy. It is one of the few.
3 is good, but it's not.
We needed Rob on the.
Yeah, no, that was a good
Back
one.
to the Future
Yeah.
episode.
Oh, you guys did it Back to the Future.
That was one of our first.
Easily
You
one
can
of my
find that on
favorite movies.
cinematicadventures.podbean.com.
Back to the Future 3 is good. It's a good movie. I still enjoy it.
Don't worry, we're going to talk about going back to the future or back to the past in a
All
few
right.
minutes.
Yes.
But Sean,
Days of Future Past.
Star City rating for Infinity War.
I'm gonna give my rating kind of as if this was a whole movie.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go 4.5. So when I thought about it,
wow, I'm the lowest.
Because you're a DC fan.
because I'm including
Iron Man
I'm including
sucks.
Endgame in that rating as well. Like I said, I haven't seen Infinity War in a while to actually sit through and watch. Endgame I actually watched not too long ago, surprisingly. but in remembering it, again, I can't really add anything to what you guys have said. You guys have said it all so well. It's just a really good, movie, and it perfectly, encapsulates what we've been waiting for in watching all these Marvel movies. I thought it was a just great, what's the word?
An epic
event,
achievement.
epic achievement. It's something you probably never thought you'd see on film.
Or experience with a full audience.
That too.
That was just incredible to do.
I mean, it's again, as much kudos as I can give to the Russo brothers for bringing it to to realization, to Marvel for getting to that point. Congrats, because it really, really did the job. I'm shocked you guys aren't as big fans of Endgame. I actually like Endgame.
I haven't said a word yet.
No, but I sense that you guys all seem to enjoy Infinity War more than Endgame. I always thought I actually like Endgame better than Infinity War.
Well, if you guys would like to know our thoughts on Endgame, we are actually going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss our thoughts on Endgame.
I'm going to snap my fingers and I'm going to make one of our hosts disappear.
I'll deal with you later. Stay put. I'll be back in a flash.
Back in a flash. Wow. Does he say that often?
Too often.
All right, and we are back. And just a little behind the scenes note. Unfortunately, Sean had to step away. He has to work in 4 hours. So
I snapped my fingers and he went away.
Strange.
Should have gone for the head.
Should have gone for the head. But we are back, and we are going to continue our conversation. And this time we are jumping into Avengers Endgame. Dun, dun, dun. Now, I never noticed this in Endgame. When they do the opening titles, they only have half the orchestra.
What do you mean?
Huh.
When they do the main
don't
titles,
repeat yourself. That's not going to help clarify.
I was going to extrapolate.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to add extra data into my statement, teacher. So when they do the main title theme, the orchestra theme, the traditional Avengers theme plays, but it's missing half of...
Oh, like sections of the orchestra.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why it sounds different.
Oh,
I never noticed that.
There were a few things in this that I didn't notice the first time I watched it,
Yeah, so let's talk initial thoughts. We'll go around, and we'll do just our initial thoughts on Endgame, and then we'll jump into favorite scenes, things that gripes, whatever it is. So let's go the opposite way this time. So we're going to start with Rob, because Sean was snapped out of existence, or he's lost in the quantum realm. It's one of the two. But either way, Quantum Mania. We should make a running bit where Sean just disappears during podcasts and we just keep talking.
That's funny.
But Rob, initial thoughts about Avengers Endgame.
Now, I've been quiet up to this point, even when the mics have been off, and I haven't said a single word. I will tell you that I think Endgame is equal to Infinity War. I think it. Now, I can also understand people who say Infinity War is the better film. I actually can see that point, and I think they're very, very valid. But I think it's a very good bookend to the entire saga, and it really brings everything together. See, I'm also a sucker for anything that has to do with time travel. So I love me my time travel. And the fact that and they said this too, that it was heavily influenced by Back to the Future 2, which makes sense when you watch it. So I love the time heist stuff. And it's funny too, it's something I didn't really realize until I saw both of them back to back. What the first one was missing so much of that was in the second, and that's Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is so fantastic in this film. He's the heart of it, and he brings so many great comedic moments that are so small. Just like sitting there eating a taco and having everything fly out of the taco when the ship lands. He's a national treasure.
Well, the thing about Paul Rudd's Scott Lang was... he had his own solo films beforehand, and both are very good. Like, I like Ant-Man, and I really enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
The thing about Paul Rudd is he is the closest thing to the audience surrogate we get. He is the normal, everyday guy thrown into this world. Yeah, don't forget, he's got a master's in electrical engineering.
I know you all know some super people.
Yeah. But, like, he's the normal guy. He's the fanboy that's thrown into this.
That's a good point.
Like, we relate to him. He's the closest thing. Like, he's not a god. He's not superpowered. He's just like, hey, remember me?
Ant-Man. You know Ant-Man.
But like he's very relatable. All these other characters come from Steve Rogers is what we aspire to be. Tony Stark is what we want to be. Like everybody.
Paul Lang is who we are.
Paul Lang is not a real character. Scott Lang or Paul Rudd. You can
Excuse me, Paul Lang.
And we're done.
We knew what you meant.
No more nachos for Rob. They're going right to his head. But he's the only character. Like Black Widow is not relatable.
No.
She's a strong female character who like women can connect with, but like
she's a role model. They're all role models.
If you can relate to assassins and super soldiers and all that. And that's why. One of the best things about doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier next week is the whole story is aspiring to be Captain America.
Yeah.
And the pressures and the downfalls. And, with John Walker, who's a character that I will defend. Like, he's a jerk, like, for the most part, but I understand.
Yeah.
And that's why I love when Ant-Man first geeked out about Captain America, and he's like, oh my God, muscles.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass. I will say this movie is far more quotable than Infinity War.
Yes.
It had some just great moments that you could just quote over and over again.
Do you think that's because of the comedy that comes along with having Paul Rudd around?
I think it adds to it, but I also think they wrote Captain America better.
Yeah, I noticed in Infinity War that Steve Rogers is very muted, and I think part of that is because he's been in hiding for so long.
Which I get. That's fine.
And it's more Tony Stark's movie, whereas this is more Cap's.
But
movie.
like hearing Captain America curse and like this is. It's all natural progression.
Hearing Captain America say to Captain America, "I could do this all day," and him going,
I know.
"Yeah, I know."
Yeah. We forget how far Captain America has come in these movies, and I would be very interested to see how he reacclimates to life in the 1940s and 1950s.
You think that would make for a good movie, 1940?
I think that'd be a great Disney
1960s Cap.
I think that'd be a really good Disney Plus series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Captain America, and we'll talk about it when we get to the end, is the idea of him just sitting there and not doing anything. Like he knows you can't mess with time. Like he knows that for a fact. But like to think that he was just sitting there
and having that dance,
which he deserved. Don't get me wrong. And it's a beautiful moment. It's a great ending to Captain America's story. But the idea of like, oh, something's happening in Cuba, and he's just like, I don't know. Drinks his tea. Oh, JFK is visiting Texas. We should go. Oh, maybe we shouldn't. All that stuff. And, even just the internet. He even says it. The internet's so helpful.
Yeah.
But, Ronnie, initial thoughts on Avengers Endgame?
Kind of like what Rob said. It was a great ending to the saga. You had your, because you had, 3 characters that you knew were not coming back. Like this was their
swan song.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's what this movie is.
Exactly.
A very big swan song.
Mm-hmm. And the way they went out was perfect. And you had this movie was filled with moments that you will never forget. And it's just I know I said Infinity War is a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean it meaning like it's far superior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's slightly better, right? Because like you said, they're equal.
Just an inch or two. Just an inch or two.
Just an inch or two. Infinity War is a little bit better, but
makes a big difference though.
It does. But I like the ending for all the characters we have and the way it sets up the future for the MCU,
which we are going to talk about. I want to do at the end. We're going to do a little speculation on where the MCU is going, or something that we'd want to see for the MCU.
Yes.
Is that it, or you still going? Sorry, I jumped in. I jumped in. I'm sorry, that was rude.
You can't do that with me. You can do that with Rob because Rob's able to keep his thoughts. I'm not able to.
Which one's Spider-Man?
Yeah, wait. No, seriously. Which one is he?
The one standing next to Marissa Tomei.
Is he the one with iron suit on?
With the iron suit
on. But no, it was nice. And then like you guys said too, is, you had, Paul Lang back and everything.
You did it too.
No, I did it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Paul Lang.
No, but it was nice to see Ant-Man back.
That's what I'm going to title this episode, The Return of Paul Lang.
Because in Infinity War, I almost said in the first movie, but in Infinity War, you didn't really have too much comedy, right? It was all forced. It was all forced comedy. In this, it just comes natural with Ant-Man. Because like you said, he is us if we were put in that situation. That's what you like to see in a movie. Like, I want a character that would be me if I was there, and he portrays it perfectly.
You'd be Thor, stop.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Wait, which Thor?
Endgame Thor.
Okay.
That's fair.
That's fair. All right.
Or you'd be Korg.
Hi,
I'm Korg.
Korg.
Feel free to log onto the Wi-Fi. No password, obviously. I'll do my initial thoughts on Endgame. It is a fantastic movie. It wasn't even a movie. It was an event. It was something that we looked forward to. And as much as I am a DC guy, this is in the pantheon of superhero movies. I don't even consider it a movie. I consider it like this and Infinity War are their own things. They're a cinematic experience. Like seeing them on the big screen with a giant crowd of people cheering and like this was what. When I was a kid, I got bullied for liking all this stuff. I was in that generation where you didn't wear a Superman shirt to school. You got viciously made fun of, like all that stuff. And it was more of a celebration of this fandom and this culture that has exploded over recent years. Like you get made fun of if you don't go see these movies anymore. Which I'm not. I'm not a supporter of toxic fandoms. I find them to be destructive to what we're trying to do.
Yes.
But This was the end all be all, and when he finally says Avengers Assemble, that theater exploded.
I was trying not to bring that up.
Well, we're gonna talk about favorite scenes and iconic moments, because obviously we're each gonna have a favorite scene, but I feel like again this movie kind of stands aside, and it's like these are your moments like that we've been building up to. So for me, this movie it hits all the right ways. I do find that it drags a little in the expositional setup. There's
in the 5 years beforehand.
No, in the once they decide, all right, here's what we're gonna do. Tony Stark thinks of time travel. One night he needs like they need to keep it moving.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this movie I can turn on from when they finally time travel on.
Yeah.
I can miss the beginning part. Like I don't.
It's almost like you can watch the beginning until they start talking about time travel, and then the whole time travel you skip until they know, all right, now we're ready to go.
Yeah. So it's for me, this movie I can like the last 35-40 minutes I can watch over and over. You watch that ending battle scene, no matter how many times you've seen it, you always see something new.
Yes.
Whether it's Spider-Man swinging on Ant-Man or Giant Man's hands.
Yep.
Or
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, One of my favorite continuity errors, though, is when Black Panther has the glove.
Yeah.
And he's running. Ant-Man. The last time you saw Ant-Man, he was trying to hotwire the van. He's like, it's dead. I got to hotwire it.
Yeah.
Black Panther's running. You could see Giant Man in the background putting a Leviathan through one of Doctor Strange's holes. Doctor Strange's portals. That sounded really weird after I said it. And oh my god. But
oh my god!
I'd like to just say that I actually looked it up, and apparently there was an actor in Batman v Superman, and one of the protesters whose name is Paul Lang.
Oh, that's even funnier.
That's funny.
That's actually really funny. But
so we were right now.
Deep cuts.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of Paul Lang from Batman v Superman. I apologize.
Wow, that's usually my line. I was thinking of Batman vs Superman. Sorry, guys. But this movie.
You think of it in a different way.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm alone at night. But anyway, this movie. It is the culmination, and this is my one downfall. This is a bookend, and I feel like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has not decided what it wants to do next. Like you have to take into effect COVID and the standstill that we kind of found ourselves at. But technically, Spider-Man: Far From Home ended the phase.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Spider-Man: Far From Home did not set up the next phase.
No.
Well. It depends because we don't.
Depends on what they want to do.
Yeah, what they want to do. I mean, it looks like the multiverse is being set up as the next phase, and that was technically introduced in Far From Home. When they started talking about Mysterio being from the multiverse.
Yeah, but that was a lie. That was
it was a lie, but at least they introduced the concept.
They're gonna Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is gonna really tackle it. We'll see where it goes from there, but we'll talk about the state of the MCU at the end of this movie and kind of what we want to see some things, but. So this
is a podcast, not a movie.
Yeah, no, right. But or is it? So let's talk favorite scene and one gripe. Gripe and scene. Scene and gripe. Scene gripe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also trying to think of like running jokes now. Does anybody have one that they want to jump with first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go.
All right, Ronnie's gonna go
kind
first.
I'll kind of go.
Do you want me to?
So no. Hold your horsies.
I don't have a horse.
Fine. Hold your Pegasus. All right.
Don't worry about
it. Like you said, my gripe is the whole time, not necessarily what we seen time travel, but the fact that I felt like it was too long of a part in the movie. I wanted, as Timmy would say from Timmy's Corner, I wanted more smashing.
He actually, hold on, since you bring it up, I was watching Endgame and I had to go to sleep, so I turned it off. And then when I turned it back on the next day, I noticed it had moved from where I left it off. And so I asked Timmy, I said, "Were you watching Endgame last night?" He goes, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "Because it's not where I left off." He goes, "Yeah, I watched it, but I fast forwarded through the boring parts." I said, "Which were those?" He goes, "When they were talking."
That's great.
Well, because you know what it is? Infinity War has a lot of action set pieces. It is very fast paced with the action set pieces. You get, like the Battle of New York. You get the Battle in Scotland. You get the Battle in Wakanda, the Battle on Titan. Like it is even the spaceship fights. And then you get the Avengers versus Guardians because it's a Marvel movie. It's a superhero movie, not even a Marvel movie. Right. The heroes have to fight at some point.
Yeah.
But this movie, the action set pieces don't start really. I mean, you get Hawkeye in the beginning.
Yeah.
Does it bother anybody else that they don't call him by his code name ever?
Yes.
They don't call her Scarlet Witch.
Not until now.
Wait. Are you talking about Hawkeye or are you talking about Ronan?
Both.
Okay.
They called him. Natasha calls him Hawkeye once in Avengers.
I think that's sort of like a geek cool kind of thing that we don't have to say their names because the real fans will know it.
But see, that's my issue though. They call Steve Rogers Cap or Captain America. They constantly he gets referred to by his code name.
Yeah.
But Marvel's always the Marvel movies have always played fast and loose with identities and code names and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I do. That is one thing, and that's not a slight against just this movie. No. That's a Marvel slight that I have. Obviously we get the iconic line, "I am Iron Man." I'm like, when's the last time somebody called you that?
Yeah.
But I wanted him they're calling him Ronin. That would have been a cool line.
Yeah.
Like when who is it? War Machines.
Yes.
And they don't even call him War Machine.
No.
But then in Iron Man 3 they joke around Iron Patriot. That's way cooler.
Yeah.
Like in Spider-Man, I think he's really the only other one.
Spider-Man and an Ant-Man?
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. You don't know Ant-Man. They don't want to take my picture.
So back to what we were talking about. So that would be my gripe is just the lagging of setting up the time traveling and everything. Mm-hmm. A scene that sticks out to me, I'm going probably something that no one would expect, and that is the Hawkeye Black Widow scene.
No, when on Vormir?
On Vormir.
Really?
Yes.
Big move.
Moves. Because I feel like everyone's going to be like, oh, this one, because it's the one everyone knows. But I'm like, I don't want to say those because I'm like, that's what everyone's going to say. Obviously, because those stick out the most. But to me, that whole entire scene on Vormir is just...
It's very powerful.
It's very powerful. And to me, that might be sadder than Iron Man.
Mm-mm. Wow.
Yes.
Those are big statements.
Yeah. Might be sadder. I'm still debating that, but
all right,
it might be sadder.
Rob, favorite scene and a gripe?
Favorite scene is definitely when I find out that Joe Russo is back into dating.
That scene actually met with some backlash.
Oh, really? What?
So nobody cared that the first openly gay character was in a Marvel movie. The gripe was that he was not portrayed by a gay actor. I'm dead serious, and this goes back to toxic fandoms and that sort of thing. For something like that, it's very it's very picky and choosy. Like we watched Shameless, right? Mm-hmm. You and I both really enjoy Shameless. I don't know if you've ever seen Shameless.
I haven't. I've been told I need to.
Two of the main actors who portray a gay couple are straight actors, but they do it with dignity and respect, and it's really just it's very well shipped.
Yes,
but that's okay. But this fandoms are very
Yeah.
strange beasts. But that's neither here nor there. Is that actually your favorite?
No.
Okay.
favorite. The one that I found myself still tearing up to is when when Peter Parker comes back and Tony Stark sees him for the first time.
Yeah.
And he hugs him and he's like, "Oh, this is nice."
Yeah.
I got a little like I don't get weepy when Iron Man dies or when Cap decides to stick around, but I do get weepy when Spider-Man I have to say, there's something about reunions of people. Like I can remember crying years ago in A League of Their Own when Gina Davis's husband comes back from the war. I still remember that.
I can't watch videos of soldiers coming home.
Oh, really?
I cannot do it. It is just there's just something so powerful.
Yeah,
about it. No, so I'm with
reunions
you.
are big for me.
Yep.
So seeing that with them, I think probably also the Cap versus Cap fight is just so much fun, and it's making it's also poking fun at the character a little bit and seeing how altruistic and patriotic he was at one point, and now he's like, yeah, all right.
Do you want a fun fact about that?
Yes, please.
All right, fun facts about that. Originally, it was
John
done.
Walker actually was in there.
John Walker was the other one. Yeah. Originally, that scene was done with both Captain America's not wearing helmets because if you remember in Avengers, he gets his helmet taken away by one of the Chitauri, and that's why he doesn't have it in the circle scene. But when they did test screenings, people couldn't tell which cap was which.
That makes sense.
So if you look at that Captain America, you can tell that his mask was digitally added in. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, I do find something very ironic in what we're talking about. And after I do my, do you have a gripe?
I've been racking my brain. I can't think of anything.
That's totally fine.
I will let you know when I do come up with something. Though.
So there's something ironic about what we're all talking about. And after I do my favorite scene in my gripe, my favorite scene. This is tough for me. This movie is filled with iconic, powerful scenes. The scene that always sticks out to me when I talk to people about this movie, though, is that opening scene.
Yeah.
When they set the tone with watching Hawkeye's family just disappear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That scene just sticks out. Like the most horrifying. And it's not even like, and that's not a normal guy. That's Hawkeye. He fought robots like a year prior to this.
Yeah.
Like he's seen some things, and to see him just
destroyed.
Just like basically crying out in despair. And then when he time travels back for the first time and he tries to get into that house even though he knew he wasn't supposed to, like that's powerful stuff. And it's a very emotional, and like characters are dealing with this in rough ways. You got Thor, you got Hawkeye, you got Steve Rogers even dealing with it, trying to like make sense of it. It's hard seeing a hopeless Cap. But that scene always really sticks out. So
one more thing I'll add too, and this is one of the most devastating moments, and I very audibly remember this being in the theaters that opening weekend, as probably we all were, and seeing the words very slowly 5 years later.
Bold move.
Everyone just went, oh, like
it was smart though. It was a smart move. Yeah.
And seeing Paul Lang come back and
are you just gonna keep calling him Paul Lang?
Shoot, I did it again.
That's great. Call him Ant-Man.
And seeing Paul Rudd coming back and scouring the names
it's heart-wrenching.
Him and his daughter, for his daughter pretty much.
Yeah.
And again, that reunion with him and his daughter just gets me all weepy.
You know she got recast for Quantumania? Played by Catherine Newton, who plays Castiel's daughter on Supernatural.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that at the end. But so here's my ironic. Oh no, well let me say my gripe first. My gripe, I think I mentioned, was the Hulk stuff. I found it very disappointing that we did not get his story. I know that there's a whole lot of legal issues with Universal because they still technically own the rights.
Yeah.
But excuse me, they I think they dropped the ball on the Hulk stuff, and I really I wanted his rematch with Thanos. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. He gets his moment with like he snaps and on all that, but it's like I said, we fell in love with the character. The Hulk and Bruce Banner were different characters, and we even get to see it. So many stairs. Like, hey, take the stairs. I hate the stairs. Like
so many stairs.
Yeah. Like we got to love both characters. Like Bruce Banner was a different character than the Hulk, and it was great. The Hulk's gone. Like Bruce Banner killed him. There, like if they had a moment where like Bruce Banner like acted like the Hulk, like when he throws the bench after he finds out Natasha dies, I would have loved to see him kind of go on a little bit of like a mini Hulk rampage. And they're like, no, you have to snap back. Like, but he never gets like as soon as Tony comes in to fix time travel, it's like, where was the Hulk here?
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
This is a great, because this is a scene that every time it comes up, I don't understand the purpose of it, and it's such a small, insignificant scene. So I hesitate to even bring it up. The scene at Tony's funeral, when his daughter Morgan and Happy are sitting there together talking about cheeseburgers. What is the point of that moment? Am I missing something?
The first thing Tony Stark asked for when he got back in the Iron Man 1.
Is that what it is?
He said, "I want an American cheeseburger." That was just the first thing when he gets rescued at the beginning of Iron Man.
Random.
But it was just more like, well,
it's kind of
your
like having
dad liked cheeseburgers.
It's kind of like having that random kid who's like, who's that random kid at the funeral?
Right,
that was
Harley.
Harley.
The kid, yeah.
That's
Harley.
the Iron Man 3 kid.
Yeah.
His name is Harley, guys.
But that's another scene that gets me, is when they're watching a video. I love you. 1,000.
3,000.
I'm like, oh.
I love you too, Dad. I mean, what?
Yeah, right.
I should call my dad after this.
I will say then, my gripe is that cheeseburger moment of
No,
like,
no,
it
that's
doesn't
fair.
strike me as, it seems really weirdly tacked on.
They could have found a better callback.
Yeah.
So,
I'm kind of surprised that no one brought up any of like the big moments.
So here, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Ironically, there are moments in this film that are legendary, not just in film, but also especially comic book films. So let's bring up the two big ones, or at least in my opinion, the two biggest.
I know one of them is.
One of them is Captain America picking up Mjolnir.
Yeah.
It was a setup, it was a build-up, and it was also a show of the characters where they are. Even Thor, when he's like, I knew it. Like, he had that look. He's like, it wasn't like an angry look.
Yeah.
Like, when you see him move the hammer in Age of Ultron, Thor's like panicking. He's a different character now. He's a totally different character.
Yeah.
And like, that. And then, of course, we have the Avengers Assemble line, which still, like, even right now, I'm like sitting here just like.
We finally get it after how many years?
We're all geeking out.
But I still wanted, like, the one guy, like, he's like, assemble. And you just hear in the background, what'd he say? We don't all have comms.
Yeah.
They all managed to get earpieces that connected too. Falcon's on her horse, like, that was always a joke about the Avengers. They never actually had earpieces in. But both of those scenes, I think, they're the easy choices. Because, don't get me wrong, they're awesome.
You know what I like better?
What's that?
On your left.
Yeah, like that whole sequence. That is like,
to me is the best line in the movie.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Best line?
Best line.
Okay.
Is on your left. That
I
to
do
me,
prefer that to Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Don't forget too that I don't have the root in a lot of the cartoons and everything that where Avengers Assemble, that phrase was such a big deal. So to me, it was never a big deal.
Well, in the comics too. So like for me, there are certain I love calls to action, right? Mm-hmm. I love like the war cry. Yeah. You have Avengers Assemble is arguably the most iconic one. Then you get like Titans Go was a big one when I was growing up. The Justice League never really had one, but there are certain things that like they're just so iconic. And Avengers Assemble was always, and of course we got the tease in Age of Ultron.
Is that when they cut it off?
Yep, Avengers. Click. But yeah, I mean that whole battle sequence from the start, even when they first when Thanos first drops down, I am very concerned as to why Clint still had his wife's phone plan still active. But it's been 5 years, man. You paying for that bill? But the second that Thanos attacks, it is nonstop, just pure. I consider that its own film at that point. Like it's just a masterclass of keeping track, and like you've seen there's some of the alternate takes that they did, and it's just
once that fight happens until the end of the movie would be a 5 out of 5.
Oh, that's
when?
Until the end.
Okay.
Would be like a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Like if that was a movie.
I can't even deny that one of my favorite things is the payoff of activate instant kill.
Yeah. Yep.
I got this. I don't got this. Somebody help! One of my biggest.
I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Regrets.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were gonna dump on Captain Marvel for a minute.
We'll talk about that in a second. But one of my biggest regrets is we're never gonna see Steve Rogers Captain America with Spider-Man again. I thought I would have, because Spider-Man
Brooklyn vs. Queens.
Yeah.
That's one of the best scenes in
Yeah.
Civil War when
It
they
is.
interact and
Yep.
and there's that almost like that camaraderie, that little rivalry.
Even just seeing Cap in the Spider-Man movie as in the health videos.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yep.
I thoroughly regret that we will never. I would have loved to see Spider-Man really torn between the two of them, like he was in the comics, or even just training with Captain America, who's like, "Hey, you're doing a great job. Just this is what you can do better." And then you got Tony Stark like, "I'm taking my suit back."
Yeah.
Like to see the conflict, the different mentor roles in a movie, that would have been wonderful.
Yeah.
But we'll talk Captain Marvel.
Let's talk Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel was kicked out of the movie. Literally they went out of their way to remove her from the movie because she.
Are you talking about the characters or the filmmakers?
The filmmakers.
Okay.
They were like, so she's too powerful. She go away.
Yeah.
All right.
I was busy on another
Now,
planet.
there have been lots of complaints about Captain Marvel that, the expectations were so high for her that she was going to be play such a big role, and then she had little to no role in the movie.
Don't get me wrong. When Thanos tries to headbutt her, that's one of my favorite
Oh,
moments.
she
yeah.
just stands there, yeah.
And she takes it. Like, it takes the Infinity Stone itself.
Yeah.
But also, that means she's more powerful. She's stronger than the Hulk?
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Rewatching this movie, I realized the strength of some of the characters that was underestimated. Like, for example, Wanda. Wanda is way more powerful than we ever really noticed. And in fact, it's addressed in WandaVision that she was as powerful as she was. Because I didn't really notice in Endgame that she does actually have Thanos at one point.
She
and
was
she's
going to win.
ready
Yeah,
to win. And then I think, doesn't she get attacked by the ship or something like
That's
that?
when he has the entire ship. The
Rain
ship
down
just,
fire, yeah.
Rain fire.
So, like, it's okay if a character is more powerful than Thanos. Like, because Captain Marvel is clearly super, super powerful. And that's why they need to, they bring her in at just the right times and have her leave at just the right times. Like, rewatching it this time, my expectations for her were different. And I knew that they were using her where they could. And as a result, her role made more sense to me this time.
For me, I just don't find her likable.
I found her more likable this
I
time.
rewatched Captain Marvel recently.
I have to do that.
And I enjoyed it more, I think, but just I don't find her like she's
not relatable.
There's an aloofness to her sometimes.
And it's almost like, it's hard to put my finger on it because it's nothing against Brie Larson. I don't have a problem with Brie Larson. I've seen a lot of her different roles, and I think she's a lot of fun. Scott Pilgrim, which we're going to talk about at the end of the month.
Yep.
She's in that. I have no problem with her, but like for some reason in especially this movie, she's just very unlikable to the point where like she doesn't want to be there. Like she literally is like, I'm just going to do this myself. She's not an Avenger.
Mm-hmm. She's not a team player.
No.
Okay.
Because the last team kind of burned her, so I get it.
Yeah.
But also as I'm a huge Superman fan. I'm a very big Superman fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No. I have a tattoo. But anyway, tramp stamp, lower back. But anyway, I do get annoyed though when Superman is the MacGuffin almost.
Yeah.
Like where he's just I as badass as he was in Zack Snyder's Justice League or in the Whedon cut, like it still makes me kind of go, oh, it's cool, but at the same time, what do you need the rest of the team for?
Yeah.
Like when they do the A-Force lineup, all the females, they didn't need the team. She blew up the whole ship just by walking through it, basically. Yeah. Like what do we need? You get your cool female team shot up, which I'm all about. I thought it was a really cool shot.
Yeah.
But like what does Captain Marvel need backup for in this?
Yeah.
Like I said, don't get me wrong. When she and Thanos are going toe to toe, it's really cool. But the fact that she's way overpowered, more powerful than the Hulk, which is his whole thing is he's the strongest.
Yeah.
The stupidest Avenger.
The stupidest Avenger. But like it never sat well with me, and I didn't like her in this movie. I didn't find her appealing in this movie. And I'll be really upset if she takes control of the Avengers moving forward, which we'll talk about at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie, thoughts on Captain Marvel?
I'm kind of in the same boat. She had that nice moment where she gets headbutted and she's like, yeah, no, that ain't doing it for me. Because she is strong. She's one of the strongest characters in Marvel. So you would expect her to be able to go toe-to-toe with Thanos. Kind of like you said, it was kind of like, you know what? I'm the best. I know I'm better than all of you, so I'm going to do my thing while you guys can do your thing. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Which, like, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with her being like, hey, what's happening on Earth is happening everywhere else, and this is my job.
Yeah.
I just... It didn't look good where they're like, oh, okay. Oh no, she's got to go save other planets.
Well, I think because they set her up so much as being sort of like, because remember at the end of Infinity War, he's got the beeper and it calls her, and we're all like, oh, she's the one that's going to change everything, and it's not. It's actually Scott Lang who changes everything.
And Thor's the one that kills Thanos in the beginning. Like, they didn't need her to do that.
I think I just really hate her smart mom haircut.
That too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's actually going to wrap us up for tonight. We kind of went over a little too much. We are going to save our speculation on the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where it's going and kind of some of our expectations for our Falcon and Winter Soldier episode. So we would love to hear some thoughts and theories from you guys.
Ronnie, what are some ways people can get in touch with us?
You can get in touch with us via the Facebook, right? Just look us up, the Multiverse Fancast, or even the Misfit Faction, in order to give some stuff.
.com.
Well, I was talking about Facebook. But yes, you can also go to the website, the Misfit Faction.
.com. I'm running out of voice. I've hosted 2 podcasts, man.
That was great. You can find us, obviously on Podbean, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you use. Tune in also. So if you have an Alexa, you can listen to us on your Alexa.
Alexa, bring up the Multiverse Fancast.
We will be there.
Alexa just goes, no. Also, iHeartRadio.
Yeah, iHeartRadio as well. We're all over the place, so wherever you listen to anything, you can find us.
All right, so I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up tonight. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Ronnie.
I'm Rob.
And we'll be back in a flash.
More